Hello, this is Sventos with a review. So I just sat down through and watched the latest episode of Dr. Karen. Sorry, I mean it's supposed to be Doctor Who, but it's anything but. But anyway, let's flicker through the episode and see what we see. Alright, so I'm just gonna scroll through it. We start with the title, not even a crawl, it's just freaking 1970s looking, based off of Star Wars or the MCU movies. A long time ago, far, far away. Where we revisit the plot of last year's resolution, where the Dalek, the reconnaissance Dalek that cobbled itself out of scrap and where was it? Scrapfield in Sheffield or some shit like that. Cobbled its armor there and attacked GCHQ, and then got sent to I don't freaking know, by this duck of a person. And then we get 367 minutes later. Yeah, 6 hours. Just say six goddamn hours. Where the thing is being transported, and we stop by a chip shop on the side of the road. Which just, I mean, this whole thing doesn't make any sort of sense. So the guy stops beside the road at a little chip shop that's supposed to be, I think, a reference to the chip shop from the End of Time, where Harold Saxon, aka the Master, eats the people that are working there. And literally, even the woman who works there almost looks like the character in The End of Time. Same setup, same everything. But anyway, this guy comes to get some tea because apparently that's the main thing that they sell. It's like tea everywhere, as you can see on both sides of the thing. He gets some tea, he starts walking back, drinking his tea. Now, I don't know about you, but like when I get boiling tea right away, yeah, I just start guzzling it. It's you know, whatever. Yeah, you don't have to wait for it to cool, especially inside a thermos. Anyway, so he keels over because the tea is poisoned, and the woman here, she drags away his body and puts him. So she's maybe like 5'10". By the looks of her, she's maybe like 120 pounds, soaking wet. So she picks up this like 6 foot tall guy and puts him in the back of the truck that has wheels that are like 4 feet tall. Sure. So she stashes him in the back of the truck with the husk of the Dalek that was getting transported. And we got this spooky music for the... Such bullshit. Evolution of the Daleks, written by Chibi the Chinballs. Then we get to another nondescript black guy who happens to be a uber genius, and he's meeting with, you know, the stand-in Trump with a, I mean, she ends up being like a stand-in Hillary pretty much. And they're having a meeting
in the middle of nowhere.
It's some sort of quarry or something, you know, middle of nowhere. They're meeting because, you know, this is a very legitimate business meeting. There she is, there he is, and they're like, oh, we put together a little demonstration for you. And what's the demonstration? Oh, it's a demonstration of riots. How very contemporary. So as you can see, the cops are being thrown bricks and what is that, gas cans at? And then they're like, oh, but we have a solution for this. We have this hunter-killer drone that we completely didn't take, you know, well, whatever. And it's like, oh, it has a hose built in, and it has CS gas built in, and oh, it can also have like some sonic crap. So they're all like, yeah, this is new thing, this is new, this is gonna be a good thing. And then they open it up and they're like, oh, it's all run by robotics and it has artificial intelligence that's gonna determine whether to spray you with a hose or spray you with, you know, sarin gas or Jesus Christ. And they're all like, oh, I want, oh yeah, she's like, oh, I want him to go national because this is gonna be my ticket out of being, what the hell is she? Secretary of Technology or some shit like that? Anyway, they're all like excited, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Then we get to Dr. Karen, and she's got this stupid sash with like random numbers and hieroglyphics and shit. And she's been marking her calendar, does this whole routine where she's walking down the corridor and like, hello camera 1, hello camera 2. Now I don't understand the entire concept of this stupid prison, because she was arrested by the Jadoon. You know what the Jadoon do? What their justice is?
Witness the crime. Charge physical assault. Plea guilty. Sentence execution.
You didn't have to do that.
Justice is swift.
If you're guilty, they execute you right on the spot. No muss, no fuss. Why would they arrest the doctor? The doctor. And also, if you're starting off in a cell, why would they make you walk down a hallway so that they can have you in yet another cell? Is this supposed to be recreation? Is this supposed to be like common time? Anyway, and then of course we get like memberberries out the wazoo. So I don't know if my mouse is not gonna show. Hang on, actually, let me show the mouse. There we go, capture cursor. So we have a weeping angel. Then here in this cell we have an ood and a sycorax. We have I don't know, I think this is a kind of looks like a hoix, maybe a hat. Then we also have a pating, you know, it's just like memberberries galore. So we then see Dr. Plank. Then there's a security camera. She's talking to the pating and it's like, you can't leave. See, there's a nude in. Oh, you can't see behind my picture. And the entirety of this prison seems to be run by goddamn like emoticons. Look, there's emojis. Like, look at this. Oh, sleep time. There's an emoji for that. Blah blah blah. Crossing is done. And then we got Graham and what's his face? I don't care. Ryan, I guess. They're going to the council TARDIS.
I'm reporting you to the council!
Yaz is in the council TARDIS, and she's all like, "Oh, the doctor, she imprinted herself on the TARDIS, and this one, even though it's not her TARDIS, because she wants us to find her." And blah blah blah. I don't care. And they're like, "Oh, look, there's these riot demonstrations, and it's this guy, and he has a Dalek." And then these guys meet
in the middle of nowhere.
Like, who has legitimate business meetings in the middle of a quarry or in the middle of the woods? This is like super shady. But you know, this is like the creative, clever writing of, oh, these guys are bad guys and we have to show them that they're bad guys. Then the planks show up and they're like, oh, we'll stop you, blah blah blah. And then Jack, I'm so sorry, Jack. You've fallen so far. And then he's like, oh, I have this bullshit device that can break through walls and stop time. So he like triggers it, and then he like passes through the wall, but he also is able to control it, so he's able to take Dr. Plank with him. Okay. So they're running away, they're running around, and he's like, oh, I stashed a vortex manipulator here, I brought it in my asshole. Like, legit, that's what's implied. Then this guy says, oh, look, you know, I found some cells on the inside of the shell casing, and I decided to, you know, just clone it, and I made a Dalek. Like, I cloned the actual organism, Dalek. And the guy's like, oh, incinerate it. But then he comes to the incinerator and he's like, yeah, but I really like this box. I don't want to throw it away, so I'm gonna just open it. And then he gets, you know, suckered in by the Dalek, gets taken over, makes a weird phone call, and then we get Plank and used to be Jack Harkness into the TARDIS. Sorry, TARDIS. And they're like, yeah, okay, awesome, nice, power up, blah, 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 go get the planks. And then they get the planks. And then we have some more MCU titles because, you know, we can't figure out that this is Osaka just from what's given, or maybe he'll a little tiny subtitles. No. Across the screen, like freaking. What was that? Captain America Civil War? Or something? No. Whichever, the Civil War movie. Like where they had freaking 5-foot tall letters. This guy's going to the Osaka thing, and he's like, oh, what's here? I don't know why I'm going here, because I'm a plank. And then the weird possessing Dalek is like, oh, this has been my plan. Then these planks go over, and blah, blah, blah. They get to Orange Man. Orange Man is bad, and he's printing 3D Daleks. And honestly, this was just such bullshit. I'm like halfway through this, and so crap is not happening. Whatever, blah blah. Okay, Jack, you're not supposed to have that gun. You know why? I will tell you why if you were wondering. Remember, Jack had that gun in The Empty Child, the Dr. Dances two-parter episode. After which, he left it on the TARDIS. Then he got killed, then he got brought back to life, then he went back in time 200 years, joined Torchwood, did all of that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, the gun remained on the TARDIS until Riversong got a hold of it. And then she left it when she died in the library. It was left with her. The Doctor didn't just pick it up and be like, oh, in case Jack ever gets back, I'll have him, you know, give him this gun. No. You're not supposed to have that gun. So the planks go investigate. This woman's now the prime minister somehow. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, and she's like, she does this whole speech like, oh, this is the age of security. We have to secure ourselves. What's the best way to keep our citizens safe? Oh, I know. I have hunter-killer drones that are just gonna, you know, roll around the street and spray people down with hoses and C4 gas, or sorry, CS gas, whatever. This guy is being a plank still. He's like, oh, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, Rory knew that the TARDIS was a different dimension. And he was a nurse. This guy's supposed to be a super smart, intellectual businessman, you know? So yeah, she's like, yeah, these Daleks with girdles and they look like they have tits. And Yaz is like, oh, I got to get the sample of this liquid because I gotta know what they're feeding the Daleks. And Jack's like, who gives a fuck? We're gonna blow them up. I mean, he's right about that. It's supposed to be some plants or something. Anyway, so Jack gets attacked with, you know, a face hugger, of course, why not? That's a tiny one, and he like Yaz kind of wrestles it off him, and he shoots it with the square in his gun. And then Yaz gets attacked, blah blah blah. This was torture. This was just bullshit. Honestly, I don't really give a shit what this conversation was about. It was stupid. It was very dumb. Jack was like, "Oh, I've missed that sound when the TARDIS material." Sorry, TARDIS. Then this guy, he's like, "I am a puppet. I am run by Dalek." And Dr. Shu is like, "Oh, I'm gonna just stand here talking to you, and you will tell me all your plans." And the Dalek's like, "Okay, yeah, I will just tell you everything, like every single thing." And then they're like, "Oh, the light has been okay. The light has been slowly changing." No, it hasn't been slowly changing. It literally changed within a matter of like 20 seconds. It changed from green to ultraviolet, and now Dr. Planck is like, "Oh, the other Dalek that we killed last year, he used ultraviolet light to bring itself back to get like, oh my god." Okay, these are the Daleks. These are creatures who mutated in the Time War to be able to absorb human touch and the background radiation of people who have, you know, who have traveled through the time vortex to heal themselves. Why would they, you know, why would they require something as primitive as ultraviolet radiation, where you can find it anywhere at any time? So, like, by that logic, the ultraviolet thing to repair yourself, that means that the Dalek from the first series episode with Van Staten, he would have been able to heal himself at any point without Rose touching him. The Daleks from the freaking Genesis arc would have been able to escape at any point in time because, you know, they can just use the ultraviolet for a restoration field. That's such bullshit. Come on, just. Oh yeah, and now the Daleks are evil, so they turn the color turns from blue to red because now they're inhabited with actual. I can't even say that without trying to vomit. So they start killing everyone, and everyone who's around while people are getting killed, they're like, "Oh, we'll just kind of like stand around. We'll, you know, we're just not gonna do anything." And then this guy, what's he? He's dressed in a kilt and has a musket. He's like at a museum or something, and he's like, "Oh, I will stop them." Blah blah blah, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. And then let's talk in the TARDIS a little more. Let's waste some more time talking how we're gonna plan this so the fam can blah blah blah. And then the Dr. Shu, she's like, "Oh, I know how to stop these crazy Daleks. I'm gonna bring more Daleks. I'm gonna bring more vicious Daleks." This is exactly how Australia tried to get rid of rabbits. They're like, "Oh, we know how to get rid of rabbits. We'll just get snakes." Whoops! Now we have too many snakes. "Oh, I know. We'll just get mongooses." Oh, now we have too many. Look, see where this is going? You're gonna eliminate Daleks by bringing more powerful Daleks, and then you're gonna be stuck with the more powerful Daleks, right? Bullshit, bullshit. Like, I don't even know who this is. She doesn't have a name. She never says a line. But we're supposed to be emotionally invested in this, you know, random passerby because she stumbles behind a car and then sees the Dalek spaceship. Oh yeah, and just, I mean, I realize this is a tiny little nitpick with this episode. It's so tiny that, you know, it almost seems nonsensical to bring it up, but everyone knows about the Daleks. They stole the goddamn planet. Like, literally every single person on the planet has seen them when they stole the Earth, took it to the Medusa Cascade, and, you know, everyone's aware of this. So, what the frack? Oh yeah, and then the doctor is like, oh, now that I've invited the big bad Daleks, they can't know that I am here. So I know what's the best way for them to not know that I am here. I am going to materialize on top of a bridge as all of the Daleks are flying down. Because they're not gonna see me. Then we got like a speaking clock moment between these two factions of the Daleks where they're like, oh, we are Daleks, and then the other ones are like, no, you are not. Oh, yes, we are. No, you're not. Oh, yes, we are. And then this guy is like, oh, I'm gonna join them because I am bad. And the doctor's like, they will kill you. And he's like, no, they won't because I am also bad like them. And then he's like, oh, now that you've killed all of these bad guys, I will help you rule the earth. And they're like, okay, I guess we need this human because, you know, we want to rule the earth. Planks, planks, planks. They're... Oh, yeah. So they're like, oh, we're gonna go and plant explosives on the Dalek ship. So we can do that. And then Orange Man here, he's like, oh, I'm gonna make a deal with you guys because you need me. Blah, blah, blah. And then this guy is like, oh, I am a survivor of the something something, and I am good, I am Dalek, I can be purified. And they're like, no, we will purify you the only way we know how, exterminate. So they kill him. And then these two, they're like, oh, Yaz, we should scissor right now. And Yaz is like, oh, not now, I need to get in the mood. And then Dr. Plank is like, oh, I know exactly what'll get you in the mood. And Yaz is like, oh, what is that? Oh, I can't tell you right now, but I will pull this lever and then, you know, you'll see. So these guys are like, oh, we should run away, we should beam away. But then Jack is like, nah, it'll be fine. I'm just gonna stop here and I'm gonna call Dr. Shu and tell it my message and be all like, hey, so good news and bad news. You know, we've like set up all the explosives, but you know, the Orange Man is here and like he betrayed you. And then Dr. Shu is like, oh no, not him, really? I had such high hopes for him. So they take him away, and then Dr. Shu is like, oh, oi oi, you should really check out the redeco that I've done to my TARDIS. Hey, look, I'm super excited about it. You should come on in. Oh, are you scared? Come on in. And then the Daleks are like, oh, alright, party at the Doc's place. So they all go in. Jack blows up the ship, and the Daleks are like, oh, we are now in the TARDIS. And then Dr. Plank turns up by a hologram and she's like, oh, you're not in the TARDIS, you're in the TARDIS, the Council TARDIS. And I've just reprogrammed it to recombobulate and decombobulate and blow up and explode and implode and everything at the same time. And we're gonna achieve that with really special, stupid, cheesy, cheap effects that look like a tin can getting crushed in by atmosphere. Then they all turn up, and then this guy's like, oh, I'm gonna be even more bad. And you know what? Because I'm Orange Man, and I am an Orange Man stand-in, I'm gonna run for president. Wah ha ha. And then these guys are all like, oh, we should really go tell the hippie that we haven't tried the Kool-Aid. And then Plank Boy is like, Plank Doctor, I can't exactly stick around because, like, you know, I have other planks to plank. And the doctor is like, oh, I used to be awkward, but now I'm gonna socially hug you. And Yaz is like, can I have some of that? And then he's like, okay, I better leave before you start gushing all over the place. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna go. And then Graham's like, well, I'm gonna go too, because, you know, it's kind of weird if, you know, if there's just these two scissoring sisters and, yeah, and then they do this, oh, let's all look down at the floor and look at all of that. I don't have a quippy remark for this. It was just stupid. And then she's like, but I have presents for you. You each get a psychic paper. You get a psychic paper, and you get a psychic paper, and you get a psychic paper. And then blah blah blah, and now Yas is like, oh, so you want to show me your bedroom? And then we get, essentially this is like the exact same as the first scene, so it was kind of like them coming full circle. But honestly, if I'm watching a science fiction show about a time traveler in a crazy blue box that, you know, goes and battles monsters, I don't want to spend like 4 minutes of that episode looking at a 20-something-year-old falling off a bicycle. Like, that's just not something I want to see in Doctor Who, really. But you know, it was kind of it was sort of a good moment between, you know, the two of them, because they finally reconnected as granddad and grandson. So it was sort of a okay moment, because like it showed them come full circle from them being completely, you know, distanced apart to them coming together as a family. So it was kind of okay, I guess. But anyway, and then they look into the sun and they see the dead grandmother, and they're like, oh, we're gonna go and defend space and blah blah blah. So in summary, this episode sucked, Doctor Who is dead, and Jodie is a plank of wood in this show. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and comment down below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell notification icon so you get notified when I post new content. And that's all for now. That's all for me. I will see you next time. Bye for now.
They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. Not again. The line must be drawn here! This far, no farther! I will make them pay for what they've done!
Subscribe now.